My name is Danny Gredinberg. I'm with the Database Enhancement Gateway, otherwise known as the DEG. How many people have heard of the DEG? Woohoo! Thanks, Mike.
Amen, brother.
So I am the administrator, so any inquiries that you do submit comes directly through me, and I do work directly with the information providers on your behalf to get those issues answered for you. My background is a former technician specializing in luxury brand vehicles, Tesla, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes. So I was in the shoes of a technician. I understand what it takes to fix a car, and that's what gives me the ability to go up to bat for you guys and help you get some clarification that we need for the databases. So again, thank you for supporting the DEG. Mike Anderson and the Collision Advice Team are huge supporters, along with a lot of people in the industry. So again, thank you, and thank you for submitting those and keeping me employed.
Amen. So my name is, let's give a big round of applause, right? So my name is Mike Anderson. I'm the owner of Collision Advice. I'm a former shop owner, and now I own Collision Advice, and get to travel all around the country and just share my insights and passion with people. So before we get started, I have a couple ground rules. Number one is, if you agree with something I say, I want you to say amen. So everybody try that one time. Amen. So if I was to say this guy right here, Mr. Ron Kewen, has more head than hair, what would you all say? Amen, right? All right. Now, if you disagree with something Danny and I say today, we want you to say, that dog don't hunt. Everybody try that one time. That dog don't hunt. So if I said that I am much better looking than this young lady right here, Jody, what would you all say? That was an amen question. You guys hurt my feelings, right? All right, everybody good with that? So if you agree, what are you going to say?
Amen.
No, come on. If you agree, what are you going to say?
Amen.
And if you disagree, what are you going to say?
That dog don't hunt.
That's right. Now, before we get started, I got to tell you something real quick. Is for those of you that don't know me, I have what's called Tourette's syndrome. Does anybody know what Tourette's is? Raise your hands. So people with Tourette's, that means I got tics and twitches, and I have to do certain things to feel like I did it just right. And sometimes my tics are I twitch my head or I grab my crotch. If I do that, I'm not trying to offend anybody. So before every seminar, I always read a card now. It says, why do I act this way? Because I can't control it. I have Tourette's syndrome, a medical condition. It causes me to make loud sounds, have twitches, and say things I don't mean. I can't help it any more than you could stop a sneeze or a cough. I'm sorry if it bothers you. It bothers me more. And my condition is covered by the Americans with Disabilities Law. Why do I read that to you? Because if you don't give him and I a good score after this session, you made fun of a disabled person. Amen?
Amen.
All right, good deal. So let's jump into this, Danny. So first of all, you need to buckle up, all right? You need to buckle up because we've got about 200-some slides we're going to cover for you in 2 hours, right? So you need to buckle up and hang on tight. Now, here we go. First of all, antitrust. We're not here to discuss any pricing today. Any pricing Danny or I use is strictly for seminar purposes. So, for example, if you ask us something about a seat calibration and we give you an example, we're not suggesting that's what you charge because we don't want to go to jail. We don't look good in orange. So no violation of antitrust. If so, Danny's going to handle it. Give me an amen. All right, good deal. All right, so what's our desired outcome for you? First thing you need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that when consumers or customers, vehicle owners, come into your body shop, they're looking for three things: trust, empathy, and direction. Say that out loud, please. Trust,
empathy, and direction.
Say it again, please.
Trust, empathy,
Consumers
direction.
want to deal with someone they trust. And one of the ways that we can gain and earn their trust is if we review their own personal owner's manual with them when they bring their vehicle in. Now, I got to tell you, I cannot take credit for this idea. It 100% comes from this young man right here. People say, Mike, how do you stay so current in the industry? Because I surround myself with young men like him and young ladies like Tracy that are cutting edge, and they open my mind to new ideas. So give Danny a big round of applause for opening this up to us, right? Now, come on, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. All right, there we go. So our desired outcome for you is to help you understand how we can use the customer's owner's manual to gain their trust by educating them about their vehicle, but how it also will help us to get the customer on our side in case we have to ask for things like scanning or calibrations. Our second desired outcome is how to point out items about child safety seats, but for the purposes of this seminar, our goal is to help you understand how to write an accurate damage analysis, often referred to as an estimate. And last but not least, we're going to help you understand how to use the owner's manual to find key search terms that you may use when you go to the OEM websites directly. Now, one of the things Danny and I are going to do a lot of is we're going to do a lot of tag in, tag out, because we built this content together. So I may say, Danny, tag in, and Danny's going to tag me in, and that means I get to go in and talk. And now when Danny wants to talk, what are you going to say, Danny?
Tag.
Tag in. I'm going to tag him in, and he's going to go and talk. So it's like a WWE wrestling event. Y'all good with that? Give me an amen. So when we want to get in, what are we going to do? We're going to say what? What are we going to say, everybody? Tag in. All right. Now, I don't like the way Danny put me up here with this picture because that does not look like me, but I'm going to take it. All right, Danny? So obviously there's about 30, 40 different car manufacturers in the United States of America. There's no way we could cover them all in 2 hours. Our goal is to create awareness with you and create an interest that you're going to want to go back and start looking at owner's manuals more often. Or if you're a consultant, you might share it with your clients. They might want to do this more often. So Danny and I are going to tag off between different OEMs. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we also want to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors of SCRS and more importantly, the DEG website. So the first vehicle we're going to talk about is I'm going to tag Danny in about the Audi. So Danny, what is the Audi's owner's manual? Tell us that we need to know about its collision repairs.
So Audi's owner's manual has a lot of information, but one thing that says is talk about the camera angle position, like the backup sensor or backup camera, the forward cameras. So anytime if the position of the installation of the camera angle is changed, for example, after a collision, do not continue to use the system for safety reasons. Have it checked by an authorized Audi.
So tag in. So here's the deal, right? You have a customer that comes in with an Audi. You want to get the keys. And the insurance company says, well, they can only drop their car off because if it's not drivable. Everybody with me on that? Give me an amen. We can go right to the owner's manual, and it says right here, if the position or the installation angle of a camera was changed, for example, after a what? Collision, do not continue to use the system for safety reasons. Is that a valid reason for me to tell that customer I need your keys and get them in a rental car and go? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. This is a good thing. Tag in, bro.
Thank you. So again, safety disposal of the seatbelts and the pretensioners. So the owner's manual explains how to dispose those properly according to your local regulations. So if you're disposing of an airbag that hasn't been deployed or undeployed seatbelt, how do you dispose that, and is that an included or not included operation? That's going to be defined in the owner's manual, and then as far as how to do it. So if there's a cost involved into that, that's something you may want to factor. The second thing is, again, the replacement requirements. Airbags that have been deployed in a crash must be replaced. Use only original equipment parts. And again, this is straight from the owner's manual when it comes down to SRS and safety systems. Never permit salvage or recycled airbags to be installed in your vehicle. So anything to do with the SRS systems needs to be replaced with brand new parts. The seat cover replacements. Again, they state always make sure that the side airbag can be inflate without interference. How many cars do you get with seat covers, aftermarket seat covers or the sheepskins? Do those things belong on the seat? No. So you need to make sure you educate your customer and get those things off of the seats that could potentially affect. Or if they want you to reskin the seat with restitch it, is that allowed in the manual per the manufacturer? No, it says to use an original part. The other thing is when you replace a child restraint, again, always replace the child restraints that were installed in a vehicle during a crash. How many people are looking when a vehicle comes in if there's any car seats in the car from a child and if it was occupied or not? So even the owner's manual are stating what needs to be replaced after a collision and when they should be. It's not just an opinion. It's straight from the owner's manual that the owner has. We have, again, seat belts. Safety belts that have been worn or loaded in an accident must be replaced with the correct replacement safety belt by an authorized Audi dealer. Replacement may be necessary even if damage cannot be clearly seen. Anchorages that were loaded must be inspected. So in a collision, we need to look for these items and ask the customer the speed, how hard was the impact, but also can we determine if the belt's been stretched or not?
No.
So in an event of a collision, that's something you may be doing even though there's no visible signs or damage. Possibly anything else with the anchorages, the safety systems for the child seats. Those things move, they can potentially cause the future child seat not to be anchored properly. That'd be a really bad situation in the future. Again, tire replacements. How many people replace tires here, run across tire replacements? How many tires do you replace on a vehicle when one needs to be replaced? I've searched hours and hours and hours in the repair manual that the manufacturer has, and typically you may not find this information, but in the owner's manual, Audi has, do not replace tires individually, at least replace both tires on the same axle at the same time.
And tag in. How many people know why the OEM manufacturers don't want you to replace just one tire? Does anybody know why? Raise your hands. Pardon me? Yeah, it could be alignment issues, but here's the biggest reason. When you have unequal tread on two different tires, it puts unequal pressure on the pavement for traction, and it will put unequal pressure on some of your steering components. So it could blow out a seal, it could damage a power steering rack. So that's why they want both tires to be the same tread pattern. Make sense, everybody?
Yeah, I thought it also creates a stagger issue where one speed sensor turns faster than the other one, and it's two different ratios there for going to the computers.
That's correct, right. So, and that's why you'll see some all-wheel drive vehicles like a Subaru or an all-wheel drive Audi. They may say replace how many tires, everybody? All 4, right? Back to you, sir.
Thank you. So next one is going to be a Chevrolet.
All right, let's take it away. So I'm going to show you some things that I found in the owner's manual on some GM products. So I got to tell you, every time I research an owner's manual, it blows my mind on the information that I find. So let's check this one out right here. It says hands-free operation. If equipped with hands-free vehicle access, the liftgate may be operated with a kicking motion. The liftgate will not operate if the RKE transmitter is not within 1 meter or 3 feet, right? And it says this hands-free feature can be customized. If we take and remove a bumper cover on a vehicle that has this feature, or we remove the tailgate, or the tailgate got misaligned, or we work on a rear body panel, we're going to have to go back and recalibrate this. Is everybody with me on that? Give me an amen. So if I wanted to know that, what I'm going to do is, I know that the procedure, or what this feature is called hands-free. Say that out loud, please. Say it again, please.
Hands-free.
So when I go to the OEM repair procedures, I'm going to go to the search box, I'm going to put in hands-free, and that's how I'm going to find my initialization or calibration procedure. Is everybody with me on that, yes or no? Yes or no? All right, I want you to write these 2 words down. Relearn. R-E space L-E-A-R-N. That is a common search word that you will see that General Motors uses to tell you how to fix this or recalibrate or reinitialize this process. But again, I want to educate the consumer about it, but also as an estimator, when I go to the owner's manual, I know now that they have this feature. Now, let's look at the next thing right here. This is on a 2019 Chevrolet Tahoe or Suburban. How many people have ever seen the one when you open up the door, the running boards step out for you to step up on? How many people have ever thought about placing those or disabling those before you begin to repair or jack the vehicle up, right? Because, and look what it says right here. Disable the power assist steps before jacking or placing any object under the vehicle, right? Would that be an included or not included operation, Danny?
Absolutely not included.
Absolutely not included. And if I wanted to prove, so here's the deal. I want you to write these 4 questions down. Whenever you want to get paid for something from an insurer, go with these 4 questions. Question number 1, is it required? Question number 2, is it included? Question number 3, is there a predetermined time? And question number 4, if not, what is it worth? So question number 1 is it? Included. No, is it required? Say that loud with me. Is it?
Required.
Number 2, is it?
Included.
Number 3, is there a predetermined
time?
If not, what is it?
Worth.
I can use the owner's manual to prove it's required. Do I get an amen?
Amen.
And what website could I go to, Danny, to prove that it wasn't included?
degweb.org.
degweb.org. Submit a question and say, hey, I'm working on a 2019 Chevy Tahoe. I have to place this in service mode before I go and jack the vehicle up. Would this be included? And Danny would reach out to CCC Metro Autotex and come back and tell you it wasn't included. Is everybody good with that? Give me an amen. All right, good deal. Let's look at something else that's in the owner's manual. In the owner's manual on this, it says programming the power windows. Programming may be necessary if the vehicle battery has been disconnected or discharged. Every time we disconnect a battery, we have to go back and reprogram the power windows for what's called pinch protection, which is if you put your arm out, the window hits it and goes back down. Is everybody good with me on that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
Do we disconnect batteries on a regular basis, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I now, after I reconnect the battery, have to reprogram the what, everybody? Power window. I was able to learn this from the owner's manual. All right, let's go to the next one right here. Seat belts. It says seatbelt pretensioners work only how often? Say that word out loud.
Once.
Say it again.
Once.
If the pretensioners activate in a crash, the pretensioners and probably other parts of the vehicle seatbelt system will need to be replaced. So here's what happened. When the customer comes into my shop, I'm reviewing the owner's manual with them, right? So let's say Danny is the vehicle owner. I'm like, Mr. Danny, let me go over your owner's manual with you, sir, before you leave. Danny goes and gets his owner's manual. I'm like, Mr. Danny, I want to show you here on page 89 that it says if you're in an accident, your vehicle seatbelts must be replaced. You may want to tell the insurance company you want this done. And now I have him contact the insurance company, and he tells the insurance company he wants to get done. And if the insurance company says no, he's got it in his owner's manual, and I'm not being anti-insurance, but he's going to be a little bit more aggressive with them to get me paid. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me an amen. And I'm not being anti-insurance, but because I think there's some insurance companies that are very, very good, and they will pay for this. But there are some that will give you pushback. Do y'all agree with that? Give me an amen. And what I'm doing is now I'm involving the customer and educating them so they're going to make that request. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me an amen. All right, let's good deal. Tag in. Go, baby.
Guys, who bought the car? I mean, that's the customer bought the car. We didn't buy the car. We didn't design the car. We're just following what the manufacturer states that needs to be done for the vehicle that they bought. So keep that in mind. We didn't design this car. We didn't buy this car.
That's absolutely right. So what will happen is I'm going to educate the customer. Mr. Danny, when you come in, I'm going to educate him. Right here it says in your owner's manual that says your seatbelt pre-tensioners work only once. Did you have your seatbelts on? Yes. You may want to tell your insurance company that, so they'll instruct us to replace your seatbelt. Does that make sense? Everybody give me an amen. All right, good deal. Let's move on to this, right? Replacing seatbelts. It says a crash can damage the seatbelt system in the vehicle. A damaged seatbelt system may not properly protect the person using it, resulting in serious injury or even what, everybody? What's that word right there?
Death.
What's that word?
Death.
So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, I'm going to educate Mr. Danny. I'm going to say, Mr. Danny, I just want you to know right now, you may want to ask your insurance company, because if we don't replace your seatbelt, it may result in a what, everybody? Death. Do you think that's going to affect their conversation with an insurer, yes or no? All right, now let's go ahead and see what else it says. It says right here, after a minor crash, replacement of seatbelts may not be necessary. But the seatbelt assemblies that were used during any crash may have been stressed or damaged. So what happens is, if the insurance company doesn't want to pay for this, what we have to do is we have to do a pre-scan to see if there's DTCs where the pre-tensioner deployed. So at the end of the day, does this now give me ammunition to justify why I need to do a pre-scan, yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Absolutely right. I'm not relying on a position statement. I'm using the owner's manual that says seatbelts need to be inspected, and the only way I can inspect the pre-tensioner is with a factory scan tool to do an output or functionality test. Does that make sense? Everybody give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. So, I got Tourette's. I told you my tics are I twitch my neck and grab my crotch. How people think that's where two neck twists and a crotch grab? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. All right, let's jump back into this, right? 2019 Chevy Tahoe. What will you see after an airbag inflates? It goes down through here, and it tells me a crash severe enough to inflate the airbags may also have damaged important functions in the vehicle, such as fuel system, brake, and steering systems. Even if the vehicle appears to be drivable after a moderate crash, there may be what type of damage, everybody?
Concealed.
Concealed damage that can make it difficult to safely operate the vehicle. And it says up here, in many crashes, severe enough to inflate the airbag, windshields are broken by vehicle deformation. Additional windshield breakage may also occur from the front onboard passenger airbag. And then what it tells us is we go down here, it again tells us, justifies for us that we have to do a pre-scan to check the other SRS components. So I'm not looking at the position statement from GM. I'm going directly to the owner's manual. I'm educating Danny that your owner's manual says we need to do an output or functionality test in order to inspect your SRS system, and you may want to request that from the insurance company. Does everybody understand how I'm connecting the dots here? Yes or no? Yeah. All right, good deal, good deal. Let me show you what else it says right here. It says, warning, for up to 10 seconds after the vehicle's turned off and the battery's disconnected, an airbag can still inflate. So how long do I have to wait after I disconnect the battery before I start removing any components? 10 seconds. We need to make sure our technicians know this. Another great feature in this, right? And also it says right here, avoid what kind of connectors? Yellow connectors, as they're probably part of the airbag system. And then it goes down here and it says, adding accessories that change the vehicle's frame bumper system, height, or front end or side sheet metal may keep the airbags from working properly. So let me ask you a question. How many of you ever had a customer come in with a truck where they raised it or lifted it with a lift kit? Raise your hands. Should we be pointing this out to the customer, yes or no? Absolutely we should, because it could be affecting their ADAS systems, all right? Now, continuing on through here, I'm going to show you right here, again, same thing. GM doesn't just say in their owner's manual one time that you need to check the seat belts and SRS system. They say it up to 4 times in the owner's manual. So that's a pretty serious deal for us to share with the consumer. It also says right here that when you have a latch for child safety seats, it says a crash can damage the latch system in the vehicle. A damaged latch system may not properly secure the child restraint. It's important we ask the vehicle owners, did you have a child safety seat in the vehicle? If so, was it attached to the latch? If it was, guess what? That latch system needs to be replaced.
I'm gonna
Tag in, bro.
Does everyone know what a latch system is on a vehicle these days? It's a universal system where the anchorage points for the child safety for the child seats to be anchored into. Those little hooks that you see buried into the seats, that's the latch system, and that's going to be across. You're going to see this across many vehicle brands, and it's a universal system. So you might want to start checking those points out.
So let's check this out, Danny, right here. Danny, it says, if the vehicle has the latch system and it was being used during a crash, new latch system parts may be needed. Let me ask you a question. We got to be honest here, right? Because it's very easy for us to always want to blame the insurance companies. The insurance companies won't want to pay. But let me ask you a question. How many of you have never, ever asked to be paid for a latch system on an estimate? Own your shit. Raise your hands. Yes or no? You never asked for it. So whose fault is that? The insurance companies or ours? Whose fault is it, everybody?
Ours.
So we have to be educated. It starts with us. Do y'all agree with that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
Right? So Mike, I'm not picking on you, right, bro? But here we are. We're worried about blending. We need to be worried about, do we replace the latch system in this vehicle? Because if not, somebody could die. Y'all with me on this, yes or no? All right. So here's the other thing. It says also, all vehicles have a label under hood that identifies the refrigerant used in the vehicle. All right? It says the air conditioner evaporator should never be repaired or replaced by one from a what? Salvage vehicle. At the end of the day, educate the owner on this, right? We can't be using used AC, receiver dryers, condensers, etc. So great thing in the owner's manual. Here's what else it says. In the owner's manual on this GM product, it also tells us the name of some of their ADAS systems. If equipped, the rear vision camera, referred to as RVC, rear park assist, RPA. If we look at any of these terms are what I'm going to use in the owner repair procedures to search for calibrations. Does that make sense, everybody? Give me an amen. When I go to the owner repair procedures, put in the names of these terms, and that's how I'm going to find my calibrations or initialization procedures. So reviewing the owner's manual will help me to navigate the owner repair procedures more efficiently. Make sense to everybody? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal, good deal. And again, you'll see right here, it also refers to other ones, FCA, forward collision alert, LDW, lane departure warning. So again, familiarize yourself with the owner's manuals before you go in the owner repair procedures, because it's going to help you to know what search terms to use. All right? It also says right here, right, when the system does not work properly. The LCA system requires some driving for the system to do what, everybody? Calibrate. We have static and we have dynamic calibrations. One of those means it requires targets and a scan tool. Some means the vehicles are self-calibrating. In this specific vehicle, right, when I look at this owner's manual and I go back here and I see that it has LCA, which is lane change alert, I'm going to have to test drive that vehicle in order for it to be calibrated. When you think about test drives, here's what you need to think about. Write these down. Test drives. Number one, you got to think about what speed. Number two, what distance. And number three is, well, not necessarily fuel, but what the driving pattern is. The other day I had an OEM manufacturer, the owner repair procedure said I needed to do a figure eight. I had another one that said I had to drive in circles. So at the end of the day, it's what is the distance, what is the speed, and what is the pattern. Is everybody with me on that, yes or no? And last but not least is you got to know what type of road you got to drive it on. It may require a road that has lines on the road, so it can actually pick up on those lines, find the center lane, and all of a sudden at that point it recalibrates. All right? A couple other things here, the windshield system in the owner's manual. The windshield is part of the HUD system. If the windshield must be replaced, get one that is designed for what, everybody? HUD, HUD, right? If the windshield needs to be replaced and the vehicle is equipped with a front camera sensor, what does it tell me I need to do? It tells me I need to do a calibration. So again, point that out to the vehicle owner. Everybody with me on that? Give me an amen. All right, good deal. Another thing here says don't use any aftermarket light bulbs. It can actually damage the electrical system. This is in the owner's manual. Pick up the speed a little bit. Sensors are matched to the tire wheel positions. Using a TPMS relearn tool, anytime you R&I a wheel or a tire, you have to go back and relearn the TPMSs. That's a not included operation, right? So maybe you R&I a wheel in order to replace the quarter panel. Not included, right, Danny?
Not included.
But guess what else isn't included? I have to relearn the TPMS when I reinstall it. And ladies and gentlemen, these are the kind of things that we're not educated on and we're not looking up. Right here, it also tells you in the GM owner's manual that you can actually purchase the GM relearn tool. GM also says GM recommends replacing worn tires in complete sets of what, everybody? Four. Not two, not one, but how many? Four. All right, good deal. Also talks here about replacing wheels with used parts is not acceptable. Also says here that sheet metal, you want to make sure you got very specific sheet metal in the owner's manual. If we go over here, it also gives you things about paint spotting, meaning spot repairs, right? That you really don't want to blend clear. It's absolutely in the owner's manual. Over here, it talks about using GM parts and how to choose a collision repair shop in the owner's manual. Over here, it walks the consumer through what to do if a vehicle's in an accident and why when they want to look for a GM certified facility in the owner's manual. Also talks about if they wreck their car, what kind of information they want to get. So ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, there's a lot of cool stuff in the owner's manual. Would you all agree? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, I'm going to pick the pace up a little bit. Let's look at a Chrysler. Right here, owner's manual right here. Says the owner manual contains what, everybody? Warnings against operating procedures that could result in a collision, bodily injury, or what, everybody? Death. It's pretty serious stuff. Would y'all agree? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. Let's see what FCA says. FCA tells me right here, on the automatic high beam, it will not activate above 15 miles per hour. Remember we talked about test drives? One of those requirements is a specific what, everybody? Speed. All right, let's go right here. The rain sensing feature can be turned on and off using the Uconnect system, right? Uconnect, is within Fiat Chrysler vehicles, right? So if I take and remove a wiper arm, I take and remove a windshield, I do anything to have to do with that, I need to make sure I turn off and then turn on the rain sensing feature. Is everybody with me on that? Give me an amen.
How do I make it rain?
Pardon me?
How do I make it rain?
How do I make it rain, everybody? I got to do what? Use a water hose. But here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. If I go to replace a hood hinge, and I got to remove the cowl cover to take the hood hinge off, and I got to take and remove the wiper arms to get the cowl cover off, I have to place this into service mode first, and I have to turn this rain sensing feature off before I remove the wiper arms. Danny, is that included or not included?
It's a not included operation.
And what website could I go to, everybody, to prove it wasn't included? www.what? degweb.org. Say that out loud with me. degweb.org. Say it again.
degweb.org.
All right, this is the DEG side. That's the web.org side. Go ahead. So, ladies and gentlemen, understand, in the owner's manual, we got to take and we have to disable this rain sensing feature before we move the wiper arms. Also talks about anti-pinch protection. So remember, GM used a different term. Remember on the power windows, they used a different term. What does FCA use? They use anti-pinch protection. So when I go to replace a door, or I go to replace a door skin, is it included or not included to initialize the pinch protection? Not included. What website could I use to prove it wasn't included? Web.org, automatically, right? Look right here. It tells me it has adaptive cruise control. It tells me it has lane sense. Now, you notice right here in the owner's manual, it says lane sense, one word. There's no space in there. So when I go to the OEM repair procedures and I want to look up the process for lane sense, how do I want to spell it in the OEM repair procedures search option? One word. Y'all with me on that, yes or no? Yes. So do you see how the owner's manual will lead me to what key search words to use? Yes or no? All right, good deal, good deal. Let's see what else they said. Right here, warning. Only an authorized service technician should connect equipment to the OBD2 connection port in order to read the VIN number, diagnose, or service your vehicle. Does that mean I can use an aftermarket scan tool, yes or no? No, I cannot. And if you see the customer has some kind of dongle plugged in from Sprint, should we inform them of that, yes or no? Absolutely, right? And what else does it say? It says warning. It says right here, if you install one of those aftermarket devices, it could be possible that the vehicle systems, including safety-related systems, could be what? Impaired or a loss of vehicle control, and it can result in serious injury or what, everybody?
Death.
So when the customer comes in, Mrs. Jones, we're going to pre-scan your vehicle with a factory scan tool. And we're doing this because your owner's manual says that if we use something aftermarket, it could create an issue. I'm just a messenger. That's what the owner's manual says. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes or no? Yes. All right, good deal, good deal. What else does it say? It says blind spot monitoring. Now, what do they call it? BSM. Say that out loud, everybody.
BSM.
Some vehicle manufacturers will use BSW, blind spot warning. But if I'm going to look up a vehicle Chrysler and Fiat Chrysler vehicle and I'm going into their OEM repair procedures, what search term do I want to use? BSM. That is correct. And it tells me right here what the BSM system is. And it says it uses 2 radar sensors located inside the rear bumper, right? So at the end of the day, it also tells me that it works at a very specific speed and distance, anything above 6 miles per hour. So if I have to do a test drive, it needs to be above how many miles per hour, everybody? Right, and also it has to be on a road that has lines on it. My shop could be located in an industrial warehouse, and I may have to take and drive 2 miles or 5 miles or 10 miles to get to a road that has lines on it. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? I want you to write this down, please. 3 common search terms. Test drives are often referred to as action test, drive cycles, and there was a third one, Tracy. Help me out, or Danny.
Vehicle verification.
Vehicle verification, right? So drive cycles, action test, or vehicle verification. OEMs use different terms for test drives. Everybody with me on that? Give me an amen. All right, good deal. Let's look what else it says right here. It says, Mr. Danny G, when I'm going over your owner's manual, it says the area on the rear bumper or fascia where the radar sensors are located must remain free of snow, ice, and dirt road contamination. Do not block the area of the rear fascia where the radar sensors are located with bumper stickers, bicycle racks, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, if the customer comes in and they have a bumper sticker on their bumper, do I need to educate them what their owner's manual says? Yes or no? Yes. Did I gain their trust? Yes or no? Did I establish myself as the expert? Yes or no? Are they going to want to do business with me? Yes or no? I want you to write this down. Back, tag in. Go.
Common decals that you're going to see on the back bumper are going to be that clear bra protection, on a full vehicle wrap, or if the car has an advertising wrap on there. Again, that's going to also apply to it. It doesn't as a decal that's applied to a vehicle completely.
All right, next thing. I'm right here in the owner's manual on this FCA vehicle, right? This 2019 Chrysler 300 in the owner's manual. I'm like, Mr. Danny G, let me show you what your owner's manual says. It says the pretensioners are triggered by the occupant restraint controller, ORC. Like the airbags, the pretensioners are what, everybody? Single-use items. A deployed pretensioner or a deployed airbag, what's that say? Must be replaced. What's the only way I can ensure that if the pretensioner is deployed is by doing a what? A scan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, Mr. Danny G, I just want to show you, it says your seatbelt pretensioners are one-time use items. We have to replace those. You may want to let your insurance company know that you want this done. And now they've got their owner's manual, and they're the ones going to the insurance company. And again, I'm not being anti-insurance. Some insurance companies would pay with this no problem at all. There are others that would not. So I need to get the customer on my side. Do you all agree, yes or no? And I'm educating them using their owner's manual that came out of their glove box. And if they don't have their owner's manual in the glove box, what can I do, Danny?
You can go to the DEG's website. We have compiled a list of every link possible for the owner's manual online.
And let's see what else it shows right here, Mr. Danny G, customer. It says failure to replace the seatbelt assembly could increase the risk of injury and collisions. And I'm going to show that to the consumer. And then it goes back down here. So again, it doesn't just say it once, doesn't just say it twice, it actually says it 3 times. Okay, let's go to the next one right here. It tells the consumer. How many of you have ever had a customer come in with a very minor bumper estimate? Raise your hands. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to that customer and say, Mr. Danny, I want to show you something in your owner's manual. It says if the sensor or front end of the vehicle is damaged due to a collision, see your authorized dealer for service. Here's why, Mr. Consumer, because it may have uncalibrated your sensors. So you may not want to take and replace the bumper. I get it. You live in the city, it's going to get bumped again. But you may want to, at a minimum, have us make sure that your sensors are calibrated properly so you're not in an accident in the future. I just upsold a calibration. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. Good deal. And again, it says right up here, do not attach or install any accessories near the sensor, including transparent material or aftermarket grills. All right? And it also says down here, do not block the sensor. If the customer comes in, they've got any clear bras on there, a snow plow, something like that, I need to educate them that their accident avoidance systems may not work properly. What else does it say? Again, GM had in their owner's manual, you want to use very specific bulbs. If not, it could damage the what system? Electrical system. Now let's look right here at a Chrysler, and it says, all of the interior bulbs are glass wedge-based or glass cartridge types. Aluminum-based bulbs are not approved and should not be used for replacement. So you want to make sure you're not just buying bulbs from whoever the cheapest person is. It could damage the electrical system. Buy the specific bulbs from the OEM manufacturer. Everybody good with that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. All right, what else does it say here? Run flat tires. If a customer drives a run flat tire for a period of time, you have to replace it. Could actually be one-time use. What else does it say up here? A TPMS sensor must be replaced after driving the vehicle on a flat tire condition. If we have a vehicle that comes in, the vehicle is a flat tire, are we replacing the wheel and tire and the TPMS, or are we just replacing the wheel and tire? The owner's manual tells us this. Is everybody with me on this? Give me an amen. All right, good deal, good deal. All right, also tells me that the valve stem should be replaced every time I put a new wheel on it. And what does FCA say? It says it is recommended to replace the 2 front tires or 2 rear tires as a pair. Replacing just one tire can seriously affect your vehicle's handling, and if you ever replace a wheel, make sure that the wheel specifications match those of the original wheels. So again, GM, how many tires I got to replace?
4.
Fiat Chrysler, how many I got to replace? 2. Audi, how many? Unless it's all-wheel drive. All right? Now let's go back and look at this. Also tells us on seat belts. A frayed or torn belt could rip apart in a collision and leave you with no protection, right? It says right here, seatbelt assemblies, what's that word right there?
Must.
What's that word?
Must.
Must be replaced after a collision if they've been damaged. So again, this is in the owner's manual. All right, Ford Focus, going to continue on down through this. Ford has a lot of OEM repair procedures, OEM statements, not position statements, but actually statements to the consumer about using OEM parts versus aftermarkets in the owner's manual. Ford also has, very similar to Chrysler, that you want to make sure you only plug in factory-approved devices to the DLC port. All right, if we go through here, it also says up here in Ford's owner's manual, it says after a crash, have a qualified technician check all the seat belts to make sure the seat belts, including the automatic locking retractor feature for child restraints, operate properly, right? We recommend replacing any system that has damage or does not operate properly. You must replace the seat belt if the automatic locking retractor or any other seat belt function is not operating correctly. So it's either replace the seat belt or at least pay me to do a scan to see if there's any DTCs. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? Again, educating the consumer on these types of things during the interaction with the consumer gets them on our side. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no?
Yes.
All right? In addition, it says right here, if the airbag is not replaced, the unrepaired area will increase the risk of injury in a crash. Why do I show you this? Recently, I had a shop that was in Georgia. They had an airbag that was on back order for a specific vehicle, and the customer wanted their vehicle even without an airbag in it, right? He consulted 2 attorneys, and both attorneys said, don't do that. Ladies and gentlemen, understand we have to take these things very, very seriously. All right, continue on down here. I'm going to educate the consumer on this Ford Focus. Modifying or adding equipment to the front end of your vehicle, including the hood, bumper system, frame, front end body structure, tow hooks, hood pins, etc., may affect the performance of the airbag, right? We want to make sure we educate the owner. Look what else this says. This was very interesting to me in the owner's manual. It says, do not use the remote start if your vehicle's low on what, everybody? How many of us agree customers sometimes bring their cars in low on fuel? And if we're using the remote start, unknowingly, could we damage the system, yes or no? And then who would be responsible? We would be, as individuals. So ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, I thought this was very interesting. Look what else Ford says. In the owner's manual, it says, if you disconnect the battery, your vehicle may exhibit some unusual driving characteristics for approximately 5 miles after you reconnect it. This is because the engine management system must realign itself with the engine. You can disregard any unusual driving characteristics during this period. So let me ask this question. Do I disconnect the battery, reconnect it, and just give the car to the customer? Or do I need to educate them about this? Or do I need to test drive it so it actually does everything it needs to do before they get their vehicle back? Included or not included operation? So question number 1, is it required? I use the owner's manual. What website could I use to prove it's not included? degweb.org. You see where we're going with this, yes or no? All right, cool deal, cool deal. What else does it say right here? It says if you modify the braking system, any aftermarket roof rack, suspension. Check this out right here. In addition, installing any stereo loudspeakers may interfere and adversely affect the electronic stability control system. If you install an aftermarket speaker that's loud, it could affect the electronic stability controls. Now, I understand SEMA here, we're selling a lot of aftermarket sound systems, right? But at the end of the day, is this something we need to know about, yes or no? How many of you have ever had a customer or a young person come in, or maybe it's an old person, and they've got a big sound system in their car? The vehicle may not perform properly. Do we need to know this specifically if we're trying to do some calibrations, yes or no? Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Look what else it says. Check this out. Ford Focus. It says if your vehicle sustains damage to the bumper or fascia, leaving it misaligned or bent, the sensing zone may be what?
Altered.
Causing inaccurate measurement of obstacles or false alarms. If a customer comes in with a very minor bumper accident, very, very minor, do we still need to educate them about this with their owner's manual? Yes or no? Absolutely. How people agree so far? We're seeing some pretty cool stuff in the owner's manual. Raise your hands. If you agree, clap your hands 1 time. Clap your hands 2 times. Clap your hands 3 times. All right, good deal, good deal. Let's look at this, right? Look what else Ford says. It says if damage occurs in the immediate area surrounding the sensor, have your vehicle what, everybody?
Checked.
How am I going to check it? Scan tool, right? All right, let's continue on here. What else does Ford say in their owner's manual? Do not cover the sensors with bumper stickers, repair compound. What do you think repair compound is, Danny?
Filler?
Body filler. We can't use any filler material at all to repair this bumper cover. Are y'all with me on this, yes or no? Yes. Do we want to educate the consumer about this, yes or no? Could this help me give me documentation to prove to the insurance company I need a new bumper, yes or no? And where did I find it at, everybody? In the what? Owner's manual. In the what? Say it out loud. In the what? Good deal. Don't get an
I want to
attitude.
add something to Ford. In the repair manual, that a lot of the parking sensors may require they call it an azimuth sensor calibration or a sensor check, but they call it an azimuth, A-Z-I-M-U-T-H. So you might want to write that down because that's going to be in the actual repair manual for Ford parking sensors.
Amen, brother. And look what else it says. It says if the sensors are blocked, a message may appear on the dash. May appear. Doesn't say always will appear. Says what, everybody? May. So we can't trust the dash. So what do we have to do, Lucky? We have to scan it. Yeah. All right, good deal. Look what else it says about wiper blades, right? And other things. It says because your vehicle's engine is electronically controlled by a computer, right? Some engine control settings are maintained by power from the low voltage battery. Some engine component settings, like the idle trim and fuel trim strategy. And we go down here and it tells us if we disconnect the battery, we have to go back and reinitialize those things. Every time you disconnect a battery on a vehicle, you should always look up the process that says procedures required after the battery's been connected or disconnected. And ladies and gentlemen, it also says right here, when I reconnect the battery, it says right here, check this out. With the vehicle at a complete stop, set the parking brake, shift it into park, switch off all accessories, fully press the brake pedal and start the vehicle. Run the engine until it reaches normal operating temperature. While the engine is warming up, complete the following. Reset the clock, right? It says reset the power windows bounce back feature on the windows and mirrors. Reset the radio station presets. Allow the engine to idle for at least 1 minute. If the engine turns off, press the accelerate pedal to start the engine. Go down here, do this, this, and this, and then I got to drive the vehicle for at least 12 miles. So the very specific test drive. I disconnect the battery, I reconnect it, I got to test drive the vehicle for how long?
12 miles.
And I have to take and reinitialize about 5 different things. Included or not included, everybody? What website could I go to prove it's not included, Danny?
degweb.org.
All right, good deal, good deal. In the event of a crash, check this out. In the event of a crash, not all crashes will deploy an airbag or activate the fuel pump shutoff, right? But it says if a connected cell phone sustains damage or loses its connection to Ford Sync during a crash, Sync will automatically search for and try to connect to a previously paired cell phone, and Sync will then attempt to call the emergency number, right? Before making the call, Sync provides a short window of time, about 10 seconds, right? Here's the reason I share this with you. If a car is a total loss, do I need to erase all these settings before I release it on behalf of the customer, yes or no? Is that an included or not included operation? How many people have ever thought about, before you release the vehicle to a salvage yard, that you erased all the customer's personal information? Raise your hands. 1 or 2 people. How many people just had a light bulb go off? Raise your hands. Should we be thinking about that when we process our total losses, yes or no? But at the end of the day, do you need to at least, the customer chose you to fix their car. Right, so do you ask the customer, but if they want us to do that, do we need to erase their personal information, yes or no? Yes or no? And does that include, pardon me?
It depends, because we send out letters after a total loss.
Yep.
To help them. We send letters out letting them, thank you for bringing your car to our shop.
Yes.
We can use them in the future, but we don't pass information on to anyone else or nothing like that.
No, I get that, but I'm saying if I bring my car to you and it's a total loss, and I want you to represent me, I don't think about, as a consumer, because I only have an accident once every 7 to 10 years, I don't think about erasing all my personal information before it goes to the salvage yard. And suppose somebody buys that and resells it, right? My personal information's out there.
There's text messages, there's addresses, there's phone
yeah,
numbers,
so should
everything
we ask
in
the
there.
customer, Mrs. Jones, your vehicle's been on total loss, you're not going to retain it, would you like us to erase your personal data from your car for you? Does that make sense? Because if we release the vehicle and send them a letter afterwards, the car's at a salvage yard now, we don't know where it's at, and their personal information's out there. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no?
Yes.
All right, good deal, good deal. All right, moving on here, right? All right, continue on through this. Now let's go to a Honda Accord. I'm going to tag into Danny. All right, y'all having a good time, yes or no? Are you glad you're here? All right, go ahead, Danny. Bring it, baby.
All right, how many people run across this issue many times with fogged lenses, headlights with moistures in there? So the manufacturer has specifically stated that this is the inside of the exterior lights, the headlights, the brake lights, etc. may fog temporarily if you have driven in the rain or after a car wash. Dew condensation may also build up inside the lens if there's a significant enough difference between the ambient temperatures. So again, when a customer comes back to you, this is also something that you can show to your customer that it may be a normal concern, or if it may be something that you need to further look into. But again, just because a car has a fogged lens doesn't always mean that it's always a cracked or it needs to be replaced right off the bat. It may be a normal condition of that vehicle. But again, you may need to look for additional damage if there's any cracks or deformation to that light. So what to do after you jump a battery? The Vehicle Stability Assist, the VSA, again, another term that we're now learning about. The vehicle VSA, Adaptive Cruise Control, ACC, Low Speed Follow, LSF. The ACC safety support and low tire pressure indicators may come on in an amber along with the message in the driver's information interface when you set the power mode to the on. So drive a short distance at more than 12 miles an hour, each indicator should go off. So again, test driving is going to be a required step.
So what's the speed, everybody? 12 miles an hour.
So again, the manufacturer, Honda, states why airbags may not deploy. Since crushable body parts absorb crash energy during an impact, the amount of visible damage does not always indicate a proper airbag operation. So again, how many times do we see a minor impact collision, but the reinforcement may be bent? Those are all absorbing in the collision. In fact, some of the collisions can result in severe damage but no airbag deployment because the airbags would not have been needed or would provide protection even if they were going to deploy. So again, this accident may have been hard enough that no matter what, the airbags are not going to work.
Yeah, so how many of you have ever had a customer come in and they said, like, man, my airbag didn't deploy, and the consumer thought it should have? Raise your hands. We can now educate them in their owner's manual as to why that didn't occur. Make sense to everybody, yes or no? All right, tag in, sir.
So again, blind spot monitors. For proper the blind spot information system operation, always keep the rear bumper cover clean. Do not cover the rear bumper cover with the labels or stickers of any kind. Take your vehicle to a dealer if you need the bumper cover corner area in the radar sensor to be repaired or the rear bumper corner is strongly impacted. So just a minor impact or a strong impact can warrant the dealer to do a system check or a verification, a calibration of some sort on the vehicle.
So if I have a customer comes in, Danny, and they're like, you know what, I just want to live with the bumper, I'm not that worried about it. Can you go back a slide, sir?
Yes.
And if we highlight this right here, Danny can now educate the consumer and say, look, Mrs. Jones, in the old days, if your bumper cover was damaged, it wasn't a big deal. Today, it's got cameras and sensors in there. You may not have to repair your bumper cover, replace it, but at a minimum, we need to verify that your safety systems are working properly. And the first thing I would ask him is, do you use your backup cameras? Yeah. Do you like it when it dings? Yes. Well, if these were uncalibrated, it may not work properly, and now I just upsold a calibration. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me an amen. Back to you, sir.
And if it doesn't calibrate, you still may end up having to replace that bumper cover.
Correct.
So again, forward camera calibrations, OEM windshield requirements. This manual states, never apply film or attach any objects to the windshield, the hood, or the front grille that could obstruct the camera's field of vision and cause the system to operate abnormally. So essentially, in this statement, the windshield with where is it? If this occurs, we recommend that you replace the windshield with a genuine replacement windshield. Not an aftermarket one, not an equivalent one, a genuine replacement windshield from Honda. So, again, calibrating the lane watch system. Consult the dealer if the passenger side door mirror, and the lane watch for Honda is a little camera that sits on the passenger side mirror, that little ugly camera on the side. If that mirror gets impacted or if it changes position, the passenger side mirror in the surrounding area severely impacted, resulting in changing the camera angle. The lane watch display does not come on at all. It needs to be checked by a dealer. So with the ACC and low-speed follow conditions, the LTF or LSF, if the front of the vehicle is impacted of any of the following situations, the radar sensor may not work properly. Have your vehicle checked by a dealer. So again, the vehicle mounted onto a bump, if it bumps into a curb, a wheel chock, or an embankment, if you drive the vehicle where the water is deep, your vehicle has frontal collision, have that system checked by a dealer. The cross-traffic monitor, again, the rear bumper uses the blind spot sensors in addition to for a cross-traffic monitor to tell you if there's a car coming from the left or the right or a pedestrian even crossing your path. If the bumper has any damage or scratches or requiring painting, have it checked by a dealer so you can verify that it's going to work properly. A lot of these systems are relied by the user, by the vehicle owner, to ensure that they're working properly. So any changes can ultimately affect the sensitivity of the sensors. Actually, I want to say something right here. Do not cover the rear bumper corners with labels, stickers of any kind. So parts and fluid types. What kind of fluids are we using in our vehicle? Do we just call our local parts store and say drop off some coolant, power steering fluid? Manufacturer simply states, the use of Honda genuine parts and fluids is recommended when maintaining and servicing your vehicle. Honda genuine parts are manufactured according to the same high-quality standards used in Honda vehicles. And again, do not modify your vehicle in any manner that may affect its handling, stability, or reliability, and install non-genuine parts or accessories that may have similar effect. Again, what does the state? Use original
OEM fluids.
So tire replacement. Honda, again, it's a common two-wheel drive car. It is best to replace all 4 tires at the same time. If it isn't possible, replace the front or the rear tires in pairs. So again, this is straight from the manufacturer in the owner's manual, how many tires to replace. So again, what about some repair information? The owner's manual can give you some free tips that may save you some time from having to go into the repair manual. Things like changing the wiper blades. Set the power mode to the vehicle off while holding the wiper switch in the miss position. Set the power mode on, then the vehicle off. Both wiper arms are set to the maintenance position as shown in the image. Nothing worse than opening up a hood and the wipers open up and then you got damage as resulted together. So again, when you another thing, wireless charging. I've never thought about wireless charging. We'd be discussing this. But metal objects between the charge pad and the device to be charged will get hot and can burn you. Always remove foreign objects from the charge pad before charging the device. Do we put our screwdrivers and our wrenches and our tools when we're working on the interior in that area? It's a magnet field. Be sure the surface is clear of dust and other debris before charging. Do not spill liquids, waters, drinks. Do not cover the system with towels, clothing, or other objects. Avoid spraying aerosols where it comes in contact with the charging pad. How many people wash clean vehicles after a repair? How many people are going to go back and tell their detail staff maybe they want to avoid cleaning out that area?
So think about it, as we have more and more vehicles where people don't want a cord, they want a pad just to place their phone on to charge. We have to start thinking differently about how we clean and detail the interior of the vehicle. And what Danny said, right? You know, as removing a dash or a center console, your technician may, you know, in all honesty, lay a screwdriver or something there. Would you all agree, yes or no? We have to start being more conscientious of that as we have these charging pads. Danny, this is a great tip. Thanks for sharing.
Absolutely. So again, adding fuel to a vehicle. How many cars do we have to add fuel to a car because it came in low fuel or, you know, car ran out of gas?
How many of you ever had to put gas in a car while you had possession of it? Give me an amen.
Honda has a special filler tube to use when you're filling the fuel besides using a gas nozzle. So again, when you're refueling from a portable container, if you have run out of fuel and need to refuel your vehicle from a portable fuel container, use the funnel provided in the with the vehicle. Where's that funnel usually located?
Trunk.
Trunk, somewhere with a toolkit. So keep that in mind. Don't just put the tube down there. So again, do not reset the maintenance monitor. When we do a post-repair scan and the vehicle is due for service, does that mean we just clear the maintenance light at the same time and we don't do the oil change?
Nope.
So you might want to consider leaving that maintenance side when you do a scan, not just clear all, but actually go into individual systems or of the computers to actually clear what's necessary, not just what's unnecessary, because you could potentially cause more damage. So again, we have another thing, Honda Odyssey. These are going to be very common things that you're going to see between manufacturers when you look at multiple manuals. But again, the Honda Odyssey, some features do not require any action on your part. These include strong steel framework or forms that of a safety cage around the passenger compartment. Front and rear crush zones, a collapsible steering column, and tensioners aren't in tight.
Oh, wait, Danny. So what kind of steering column?
Collapsible.
Could you show me that? Highlight that for me, sir. What kind of steering column, Danny?
Collapsible.
Steering column. So when we go to write a Honda that was in an accident or this specific vehicle, we probably need to go in the repair procedures and type in the word steering column and then look up the inspection process. Everybody with me on that, yes or no? So it has a collapsible steering column. Wow.
Collapsible steering column, tensioners that tighten in the front seatbelts in a sufficient crash. So this goes back to, are we doing a pre-repair inspection, a safety inspection of our SRS systems just in a minor collision? So again, a seatbelt inspection. How many people are doing seatbelt inspections when the car arrives? When you go back on to your shops next week, you might want to start checking that out across more and more. But any belt that is not in good condition or working properly will not provide proper protection. It should be replaced as soon as possible. A belt that has been worn during a crash may not provide the same level of protection in a subsequent crash. Have your seatbelts inspected by a dealer after a collision. So again, this talks about doing a seatbelt inspection after a collision. Again, VIN label or labels for the AC, the emissions. This in the owner's manual, it gives you locations. Sometimes you get a car that's been repaired previously. and you don't know where those labels go, this is a good place to reference it. Or if that part gets disposed of, you can reference the owner's manual and you can put it exactly in its location. So airbag care. When a vehicle has been in a moderate to severe collision, even if the airbags did not inflate, have your dealer inspect the following: the driver's seat position sensor, weight sensors in the passenger seat, front seatbelt tensioners, and each seatbelt that was worn during the collision. So now it's more than a seatbelt, but actually the passenger seat weight sensor that's built into the cushion. So when you scan it, you may discover that there's a DTC in there.
Yep, so tag in. So here's what I'm going to do, right? If the customer comes in, I'm going to educate the consumer and say, you know, Mr. Lucky, I just want you to know, when you go to repair your Honda, I want to show you what your owner's manual says. Your owner's manual says right here that even though the airbags didn't deploy, the driver's seat position sensor and weight sensors and front seatbelt tensioners need to be inspected, right? You may want to suggest this or mention this to your insurance carrier. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? And now the insurance company is going to call and request that of me, and now they're asking me to do it versus me and them asking them to do it. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? I'm attempting to remove that friction. Do I get an amen on that? All right, good deal. Back to you, sir.
Now that we got the parts approved, what kind of parts are we going to use to replace those the damaged parts with?
OEM parts.
OEM parts. Used parts? No. OEM. So again, what about a low remote signal strength, the keyless entry batteries or key fobs? The battery is consumed whenever the remote is receiving a strong radio waves. Avoid placing it near electrical appliances such as televisions and personal computers. How many technicians have computers on their toolboxes where they put the keys next to? Could that affect the battery of the key?
Absolutely.
So again, Honda has a system called Honda Link. To enable the Honda Link, you need to allow the consent of the location service to enable the Honda Link service. So again, this is more technology that's being added into the vehicle that we need to consider. Does it track the vehicle? Does it know where the vehicle is at? Do we need to activate it, deactivate it? Part of the service procedure. So this is, again, information about the vehicle's systems, but then we can also reference the repair manual furthermore by typing in Honda Link to see if there's any further action needed.
Honda Link is one word,
Honda
yes.
Link, one word.
Yep.
With the trademark logo. So again, automatic collision notification. For vehicles equipped with Honda Link Assist, owner activation constitutes authorization for Honda to collect information from the vehicle needed to provide the service and agreement to the terms of use. Terms and conditions in a crash, Honda Link Assist will attempt to notify emergency services, but neither Honda nor itself provides guarantee that such notification will occur. If you deactivated the Honda Link system and the customer had it activated and you forget to activate that system and that car leaves your shop and gets into an accident, it may not call the first responder as it should. So keep that in mind. We need to verify that these systems are activated the way it was beforehand. So again, with more sensors, camera sensors in the front end, never apply film or attach any objects to the windshield, the hood, or the front grille that could obstruct the camera's field of view. So this is the same information coming from the Honda Accord, but now the Honda Odyssey has the same exact technology built into it. So again, use original windshields when needing to be replaced. Collision mitigation braking system. Can anyone say the acronym? CMBS.
BS.
Awesome. Be careful not to have the radar cover strongly impacted. So again, if the minor collision on the front end, check the sensors, check the mounting points, check everything behind there. You may not have to replace the bumper, but check the systems associated with it.
So Danny, you were a technician, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you a question. It says strong impact. Are there things that a body technician could do to the front end of a vehicle that we might want to remove this before we did?
Absolutely. So if you're putting the vehicle on a frame rack and you have to do some pulling, some hammering, some using a sledgehammer, a slide hammer, those are all possible effects of the vehicle systems.
So if we know we're going to be doing repairs on the front end, this can't be subject to a strong impact. Do I need to list that as a remove and install R&I operation on my estimate, yes or no? Yes or no? So here's what I would encourage you, right? I like to use dual monitors when I rate my estimates. So I might have my estimate, and I'm going to put on there R&I, radar sensor cover. And then I'm going to go over to the owner's manual on my other screen, and I'm going to copy this and paste it as a line note. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? I'm going to paste it as a line note to document why I need to do it. Back to you, sir.
Thank you. So again, more CMBS, do not paint or apply any coverings to the paint radar sensor area. This can impact the CMBS operation. So if you have a customer that comes in and says, hey, I want my grille color matched to my vehicle, what are we going to do? We're going to look in our owner's manual and see if that's something that we should be doing or not. Again, that could potentially affect the system of that grille. If you need a radar sensor to be repaired or removed, or the radar sensor to be covered is strongly impacted, turn off the system by depressing the CMBS off button and take your vehicle to a dealer. Again, the dealer has all the equipment necessary to service that component. So VIN number and transmission number. So again, if you have a theft recovery, or if you have a vehicle that that's been worked on previously, the VIN tags have been removed. You're just unsure what kind of vehicle it is. Where did it come from? Is it even from this country? The owner's manual will tell you the interior vehicle identification number is located under the cover, and if you look underneath, and it may be underneath the seat or some kind of trim. So there's usually stampings beyond just the label or the engraving underneath the windshield. So we're going to talk about a Hyundai. So Mike.
Tag it back to Mike. All right, let's go, baby. All right, let's talk about what Hyundai says. All right, first of all, a couple things at Hyundai. When we go to Hyundai's owner's manual, they're very, very clear with giving us some instructions to review with the consumer about OEM original parts versus aftermarket. So I would absolutely love this. And one of the things it talks about is how can you tell if you're purchasing Hyundai genuine parts, right? Look for the Hyundai genuine parts logo on the package, and it says Hyundai genuine parts exported to the U.S. are packaged with labels written only in what, everybody? English. We got to be careful of counterfeit parts. We have to be careful of parts that may be purchased or shipped to the U.S. from another country. So that gives us some information there. Number 2, it says damaged seatbelts and seatbelt assemblies will not operate properly. Always replace if the entire seatbelt assembly after it has been worn in an accident, even if damage to the webbing or assembly is not apparent. So bottom line is, all I want to do is point out to the consumer, Mrs. Consumer, Mr. Consumer, in your owner's manual says if your seatbelt was in use during the accident, were you wearing your seatbelt? Yes, I was. You may want to let your insurance company know you want your seatbelt replaced because this says you need to do it. Does that make sense to everybody, yes or no? I'm educating the consumer. And if you look right here, it also says always replace your pretensioners after activation or an accident. Never inspect, service, repair, replace the pretensioners yourself. It's telling the consumer to do this, right? Do not do it yourself. Make sure you always replace them after activation or an accident. What else does it say right here? When the pretensioner seatbelts are activated, a loud noise may be heard, and fine dust, which may appear to be smoke, may be visible, right? So again, and it says right here, a pretensioner seatbelt system is designed to activate only once. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to note that in this Hyundai owner's manual, it says 4 different times the seatbelt must be what? Must be what? Says it not once, not twice, not 3, but 4 times.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
Do I need to clean up that fine dust after an
Absolutely, sir.
Oh my
And that would be a not included operation.
Not included.
And what website could I use to prove it wasn't included, everybody? degweb.org. Awesome, bro. Look right here. The entire seatbelt assembly or assemblies should be replaced if the vehicle has been involved in an accident. This should be done even if no damage is visible. Additional questions concerning seatbelt operation could be directed to an authorized Hyundai dealer. Again, we said it was 4 times. Now we've seen it a 5th time in the same owner's manual mentioning the seatbelts must be replaced, right? You also see right here, it goes down here and says do not use the tether anchors or for adult seatbelts. So got some stuff here, and it says right here, always have the latch system inspected by your authorized Hyundai dealer after a what? Accident. An accident can damage the latch system and may not properly secure the child restraint. So are we inspecting the latch systems in these vehicles? Is it on our estimate? Do we know how to inspect the latch systems, right? Also says right here in the owner's manual, do not attach any objects on the front windshield and inside mirror. How many times do we see people have stuff hanging off their mirror? All right? How many times do you see people have like an easy pass where they put it up there to get through like toll booths? Do we need to educate the consumer, yes or no? Absolutely right, we do. All right, let's go down through here. It also says on this, side airbag precautions. Do not cause impact to the doors when the ignition switch is in the on position, or this may cause the side airbags to inflate. If the seat or seat cover is damaged, have the vehicle checked and repaired by an authorized Hyundai dealer. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it says do not cause an impact to the door. We need to make sure that we have certain conditions before we start removing the door and doing repairs on the door if it has a small dent or crease in it. Everybody good with that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. Also, it talks about here, when changing or replacing the seat covers, use only original items, but now it starts talking about OCS, occupant classification sensor, right? We have seat sensors that have to be recalibrated after the vehicle's been in an accident. Do not install bumper guards or replace the bumper cover with a non-genuine Hyundai part. Why? This may adversely affect the collision and airbag deployment. Now, if you have somebody come in, it's a mother of 3 children, and you say, ma'am, the insurance could be figuring out aftermarket bumper cover on your bumper, but I want to show you right here, Hyundai says that could affect your children. Do you want that? Is everybody with me on this, yes or no? Yeah. Right? I'm using the owner's manual to educate the consumer.
Customer's choice.
Customer's choice. All right? Goes down here also. It says do not cause impact to the doors, what we talked about a moment ago. Avoid dropping or throwing the remote key. Protect the remote key from extreme temperatures. Every vehicle manufacturer that has intelligent keys now do not want those keys to go above 131 degrees Fahrenheit on average. So that means if you have an intelligent key fob, do we need to take it out of the spray booth before we bake the vehicle? Yes or no? Yes. Absolutely.
Hey, Mike, here's the key.
Oh, yep,
Pull the
go
card.
right there. And all of a sudden it hits the ground, and now it gets damaged, and I'm spending $200 on trying to get a new key fob. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got to start treating these key fobs with gentle kindness. Y'all with me on that? Give me an amen. Amen. All right, good deal. Let's look right here. Reset the power windows. Tells me in the owner's manual that how to reset the power windows so the pinch protection works properly. Go down here. It says, to prevent possible damage to the power window system, do not open or close 2 windows or more at the what?
Same time.
How many times you've been in a wash rack checking a car out and you push both buttons? I've done it. Do we need to do that in the future? No, do not do it. All right? Resetting the sunroof. Right here it says, when the 12-volt battery's been disconnected or has been discharged, we have to reset the sunroof. Is that included or not included, Operation Danny?
Not included.
What website could I go to prove it wasn't included, everybody? dgweb.org. Do we disconnect batteries on a regular basis, yes or no?
Yes.
All the time.
Do batteries die in our shop all the time?
Yeah. But do we need to make sure we're following these reset, reprogram, or initialize procedures? Yes or no? Yes. Included or not included? Not included, Operation, right? If your vehicle has window tint or other types of conditioning or metallic coating on the front windshield, the auto light system may not work. Maybe I'm trying to do a scan, and I keep getting a DTC over. Well, you know what? I might be getting it because there's tint on the windows. Everybody with me on that? Yes or no? Okay, good deal, good deal. All right, look right here. If the camera, high beam assist, if the camera is removed for any reason, the system may need to be what, everybody? Recalibrated. If the windshield is replaced, I will need a recalibration. Be careful that water doesn't get into the high beam assist unit and do not remove or damage related parts. If I do 100% disassembly on a vehicle and that component's exposed, do I need to protect that component or remove it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Because if it rains on the vehicle or snow, it's going to damage the unit. And the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, is when I take and remove that component, I now have to figure a calibration. Everybody with me on that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
All right, good deal. All right, moving on here. Do not remove the sensor cover laid on the upper end of the driver's side windshield glass, right? So not do that. And because if I did it, it's going to put it out of calibration, right? Now we go down here and it starts talking about some of the things that could happen with the battery, okay? Let's go here. The system may not, let's talk about detecting sensor. The system may not work properly where the bumper has been damaged or if the rear bumper has been what? Replaced or repaired. Be careful not to apply unnecessary force on the radar sensor or sensor cover. If the sensor is forcibly moved out of proper alignment, the system may not operate correctly. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, if the vehicle's in an accident, could it have misaligned the camera, yes or no?
Yes.
So now I have to take it out to do a calibration. Everybody with me on that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
I educated the consumer, right? If the sensor is forcibly moved out of proper alignment, the FCA system may not operate properly, okay? And if we go down here again, do not apply license plate frame or foreign objects such as a bumper sticker or a bumper card near the sensor. Could affect the way that it works. If the front bumper becomes damaged in the area around the sensor, the FCA system may not operate properly. So again, minor impact, I'm educating the consumer on why I need to do a calibration. If I write an estimate for them, I educate them on their own owner's manual, and I do this, and they go somewhere else to get an estimate, and the estimate's cheaper, do you think the customer might still come back to me, yes or no?
Yes.
Why? Because I earned their what?
Trust.
Trust. All right, good deal, good deal. All right, says right here, never install any accessories or stickers on the front windshield, nor tint the front windshield, right? And if we go down to here, it says, have the system checked by an authorized Hyundai dealer when the windshield glass is replaced or the radar sensor or cover gets damaged. How do they have us check it? They have us check it using a what, everybody? Factory scan tool. I don't need a position statement from Hyundai. I can use the owner's manual to prove that I need a scan. Everybody with me on that, yes or no? All right, good deal, good deal. Down here, it says when you replace the windshield system, you're going to have to do a calibration. We go over here. Again, it talks more about not anytime we remove the camera, the windshield, we need a calibration. So it's in there multiple times, right? Again, go back here. Do not apply unnecessary force to the radar sensor. So if I'm going to do any repair in that area, what do I need to do, Danny?
Check it and calibrate it.
Right, and I'm going to take it and also R&I it, and I'm going to put a line note on my estimate to match what comes out of the owner's manual. Does that make sense? Everybody give me an amen. All right, good deal, good deal. Always check the TPMS malfunction telltale after replacing one or more tires or vehicles, right? How do I check the TPMS? Using a what, everybody? Scan tool. So are you seeing that there's a lot of things we have to use a scan tool for other than just a pre or post scan? Yes or no? Yes. There's specific things we're looking for. All right. Let's see what Hyundai says about tires. When replacing tires or wheels, it is recommended to replace the 2 front or 2 rear tires as a what?
Pair.
As a pair. All right? Look right here. It says when you replace the headlamp halogen bulb, the first thing I have to do is disconnect the what?
Battery.
And when I reconnect the battery, now I got to go back and do recalibrations and reinitializations. So at the end of the day, that requires a scan tool. So if you look at like an insurance company gives you pushback on scanning a vehicle, just say, Mr. Miss Insurance Appraiser, do you agree I need to replace the headlight? Yeah, it's broken. Well, do you agree that it says I need to disconnect the battery first? Yes. Well, do you agree that when I reconnect the battery, I got to do these 5 things? Now I just got paid based on a specific line item on that estimate. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me an amen. Yes, sir. That is correct. And if you look right here, it also says the headlamp aiming should be adjusted after a what, everybody?
An accident.
Accident or after the headlight assembly has been removed. All right, back to you, Danny.
Thank you.
Y'all getting value out of this, yes or no? Yes. I know we're going fast, but we got a lot of content, and we're just trying to open your eyes. Is it working? Yes. All right, good deal.
2018 Nissan Altima. So who should do the repairs on a vehicle? And again, Nissan recognizes that there's going to be do-it-yourself repairs, and that there's going to be times that where a professional is going to have to intervene and do the repairs properly. So not everyone's. This isn't backyard shade tree mechanics. We're going to have some things that a person can do themselves, but for the most part, everything's going to have to be done by an authorized personnel. Required inspection after a collision. How many people are doing inspections after a collision? Where's the documentation? Who says I need to do it? Well, it's in the owner's manual. Once a front airbag or a side airbag or a curtain airbag has inflated, the module will not function again. It must be replaced. So these are all things that we want to look into and inspect the SRS systems. We're going to use a scan tool. We're going to visually check these systems and make sure that they're operating
Danny,
correctly.
tag me in for a second, bro. So check this out. Danny comes in and brings his Nissan in. I'm going to go over his owner's manual with him. I'm going to turn to page, 63 in the owner's manual. I'm going to say, Mr. Danny, I want to show you here in your owner's manual. It says if your vehicle's been involved in an accident, and Danny, can you go to the last sentence? It says, we need to do this seat calibration if your vehicle's been involved in an accident. It says failure to verify proper OCS function may result in an improper airbag deployment resulting in injury or what? So I'm going to go to Danny. He's the owner, right? Mr. Danny, I'm just showing you your vehicle's in an accident. Do you agree with that? Yes. Your owner's manual says you need to have this seat calibration done. And if it doesn't get done, it says it could result in what, everybody? Death. What's it going to result in? Death. So therefore, you may want to reach out to your insurance carrier and tell them you want the seat calibration done. We have the ability to do it here, and we'll do it ourselves, but you need to request this. Or we may have to take it to a dealership, right? But at the end of the day, educate that consumer. Are y'all getting the message on this, yes or no? Tag, back in, bro.
Thank you. So again, another requirement, once a seatbelt pretensioner has been activated, they cannot be reused or must be replaced together with the retractor. It is recommended that you visit your Nissan dealer for the service. So all seatbelt assemblies, including retractors and attaching hardware, should be inspected after any collision. It is recommended that you visit a Nissan dealer for this service. So after what type of collision?
Any.
So again, key things, checking those seatbelt systems. So the owner's manual has a seatbelt operation check. Checking the seatbelt, retractors are designed to lock the seatbelt movement by 2 separate methods, when the seatbelt is pulled quickly from the retractor or when the vehicle slows down rapidly. So we commonly can go to a seatbelt and do the quick pull test on there. So again, more warnings about the SRS systems, and again, disposal of the SRS systems, and checking the OCS systems, the seat occupant sensor on the passenger side. So repairs to an SRS system is not authorized. The pretensioner cannot be reused. They must be replaced together with the retractors. If the vehicle becomes involved in a collision but pretensioners are not activated, be sure to have this system checked by necessary Nissan dealer. Unauthorized changes should not be made to any components or wiring of the pretensioner system. This is to prevent damage to the activation of the pretensioners. Tampering with the pretensioner systems may result in personal injury.
And what's the only way I can check to verify if the pretensioner has been deployed? Is by doing a what? Scan. Ladies and gentlemen, it's helpful that the OEMs give us position statements, but do you agree that if we really start looking at specific lines on the estimate, we can get reimbursed for a scan based off of the actual repair of the vehicle? Would you all agree with that? Give me an amen. All right, good deal. Back to you, Danny.
This is a new one. I never thought about calibrating a compass in a vehicle, and I think that goes back to Mike's point, having to do that figure 8 road test to make sure that the system knows where north, south, east, and west is.
Yeah, it says right here, Danny, it says that the display reads C, calibrate the compass by driving the vehicle in 3 complete circles at less than 5 miles an hour. So I got to drive the vehicle in 3 complete circles at a very specific driving pattern at a very specific speed of less than what, everybody? I got to tell you, Danny shared this with me. How many people have ever put on an estimate, calibrate compass after repairs? Be honest, raise your hands. Right?
And this goes back to your condition. You can also calibrate this compass by driving your vehicle in your everyday route. So
but
again,
do I want to give the vehicle back to the consumer without doing this? Yes or no? Right?
They're going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Initializing the backup camera after a dead battery. So again, if the battery dies or if it needs to be replaced or disconnected, again, we need to calibrate the backup camera. If the battery is disconnected, it can be or becomes discharged, the predicted course lines may display incorrectly. If this occurs, please perform the following procedures. Turn the steering wheel from lock to lock while the engine is running. Drive the vehicle on a straight road for more than...
So it depends on where you live at, right? You may have to drive 20 minutes to get to a road that has those conditions. But it doesn't say drive it around your parking lot, does it? Right? It's very specific conditions: speed, pattern, and distance.
So this is more technician tip right here. How many cars come in on a tow truck, no keys, or just the system's completely locked down? How do you get that car around your shop? The owner's manual is going to tell you how to get that vehicle into a neutral position. So again, there's a shift lock involved, and every vehicle may have a specific procedure. Some you have to disassemble the center console like a Jeep, or some of them are you're going to pull the little tab out of the center console, and then you can depress a little lever next to the shifter. Just don't lose that little cap because you might have to buy a whole center console for that piece.
Yes. Sounds like a guy speaking from experience, amen?
When to service the blind spot monitors. Again, they call it the BSW. Do not attach any stickers, including transparent material. Can you guys see a trend? All these manufacturers are saying the same thing. Don't put any stickers or modify the rear bumper when it comes down to these sensors attached to behind the bumper. Do not strike or damage the area around the radar sensor. It is recommended that you visit a Nissan dealer if the area around the radar sensor is damaged due to a collision. So again, commonly the lower quarter extensions, you got to do a little repair, a little tap, a little pull right there. You got to have it serviced and checked by a dealer. Rear cross traffic alert. Again, no more stickers, no modifications to that area. These sensors utilize the blind spot monitor sensors that are sitting behind the bumper cover in that area. So the ICC, AEB, and IFCW, more acronyms for these ADAS systems that we're using.
So you understand how those acronyms would be used in the search feature? So if I go to Nissan's Tech Info, if I can type in ICC, that's going to pull it up for me. You're all with me on that, yes or no? Yes or no? So using the owner's manual to determine what the features are called to lead me to the proper search process and the owner repair procedures.
So again, this is the key one. Do not alter, remove, or paint the front bumper. Before customizing or restoring the front bumper, it is recommended that you visit the Nissan dealer. So what this leads to is when you go to a Nissan dealer, they now have the repair manual to verify what the actual repairs are needed. They're telling the consumer, don't modify, don't paint, don't change it. Now go to a Nissan dealer, and they're the professionals who work on that vehicle. Again, tire replacement guidelines. If your vehicle was originally equipped with 4 tires that were the same size, you are only replacing 2 of the 4 tires. Install new tires on the rear axle. So if you're replacing a right front tire, you got to move that tire to the back, and they got to be replaced in pairs. So 2 new tires in the rear.
Yes.
For tracking reasons. So again, damaged wheels. In the owner's manual, do not install a damaged or deformed wheel or tire even if it has been repaired. Such wheels or tires could have structural damage and could fail without warning. The spare tire should be used for emergency use only. Should it be used to put that car around your shop? Could you have damaged suspension parts which could damage that spare tire? That's what they're stating.
Sorry, Danny, go ahead.
Are you going to road test that car with a spare tire just to get that car out of your shop that much quicker because you're being ahead of the game? You're going to want to install the original tires, the original wheels, and verify that everything's the original size.
So tag in, Danny. So let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever had a car come into your shop with a spare on it? Raise your hands. Let me ask you a question. Do you charge, and I'm not saying that you charge, but are you inspecting the spare for the consumer before you put it back on the trunk? Yes or no? Should we? Is that an included or not included operation? What website could I go to prove that inspecting the spare to reinstall in the vehicle is not included operation? What website? DEGweb.org. You seen a pattern here, yes or no? All right. If you want to know the winning lottery ticket, what website do you go to? DEGweb.org.
Collisionadvice.com.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
So again, more label locations. Again, where do those labels go? After the if you got to paint the uniside, the jam, the aperture. Again, where do those labels go back on the vehicle? Because again, maybe a different person putting that label back on the car. So again, with more Infiniti stuff, Mike will take over.
Me. All right, brother, let's rock it. All right, so let's look at Infiniti. Very similar to Nissan, right? Infiniti and Nissan are sister companies. It says right here, installed an aftermarket onboard diagnostic OBD plug-in device actually could damage the vehicle's electrical system. So it says do not do that. Also says right here, much like Nissan, all seatbelt assemblies, including retractors attached to hardware, should be inspected. How do I inspect them? There's a visual inspection, but I also have to check the pretensers using a what, everybody? Scan tool. All right, let's go down here. Once a seatbelt pretensor is activated, it cannot be reused. And what's that word right there, everybody? Must be replaced. Say that word again.
Must.
Say it again. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1's a weak word, 5's a strong word. How would you rate the word must? 5. All right, good deal. Look right here. A cracked windshield should be replaced immediately by a qualified repair facility. A cracked windshield could affect the function of the what? Supplemental airbag system. All right, goes down here again. Pretensors can be reused after activation. Says right here, if there's an impact to your vehicle from any direction, your OCS should be checked. How do I check it? With a factory what? Scan tool. If I don't check it, it could result in what?
Injury or
death. Again, I'm letting the customer know this on the front end of the process. All right, also tells me right here, again, pretensors should be checked. Again, could result in death. You notice it doesn't say in the owner's manual once, it says it how many times? Twice. Okay, let's continue on down here. Again, just like Danny said, it said be sure to turn off the rain sensing auto wiper system when you use a car wash. Using genuine wiper blades is recommended for proper operation of the rain sensing auto wiper. Right again, why do I need to know that it has rain sensing? So if I have to do anything to remove the wiper arms or anything, there may be a calibration process that's required. All right, right here, look at this, caution. When the battery cable is removed from the battery terminal, do not close either of the front doors. The automatic window adjusting function will not work, and the side roof panel may be what?
Damaged.
How many of you have ever disconnected a battery and shut the doors? I've done it. Own it. How many of y'all done that? Raise your hands. Disconnect the battery and shut the doors. But if we do it on this vehicle, it could do what? Damage the side roof panel. Is this something our technicians need to know? Yes or no? Absolutely right.
This is for the cars with frameless doors, by the way. This is for the window with the bare window.
Yep. If your vehicle's stolen, you should change the codes of any non-rolling code device that has been programmed into HomeLink. So let me ask you this question. Vehicle's a total loss. Should I call the customer and say, would you like me to remove your garage door opener codes from your vehicle and erase them? Yes or no? Should I do that? Yes or no?
Yes.
How many people in here have ever offered to erase a customer's information before the vehicle was towed away? 2 people, right? At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is this an included or not included operation? Do you see where this is going on total losses? It's not just storage, it's not just tear down, it's not admin fees, erase customers' personal information. Y'all with me on this, yes or no? And if I want to know how to do it, it tells me to go to the HomeLink section of the owner's manual, right? Look right here. If you have an intelligent key, it cannot exceed 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So don't leave that thing in the spray booth, right? On the windshield, much like the Nissan, do not attach any stickers or accessories near the camera unit. All right, don't put any window tint on there. If we go right here, same thing with the Nissan that Danny shared. You can't do any repair or multiple refinishes to the bumper cover or the sensors. All right, we go right here. Look at this, system maintenance. The sensor for the ICC, that stands for Intelligent Cruise Control. The sensor for the ICC system is located behind the grille of the front bumper or the front bumper. To keep the ICC system operating properly, do not strike or damage the areas around the sensor. So if the vehicle gets in an accident, it had damage, therefore I need to do a scan to ensure if the component's working properly or not. There's no visual inspection. Everybody with me on that, yes or no? This supports the ability to do a pre-scan, all right? Do not alter, remove, or paint the front bumper. Now, you can paint a new one. It just means it doesn't want you to paint this other bumper cover an additional time that's already been painted because the mill thickness would affect the system. All right? Look over here. Do not modify the vehicle steering or any of the suspension components. Tells us not to do that. All right? It says, as soon as possible, tighten the wheel nuts to the specified torque with a torque wrench. How many of you are researching the torque specifications for your technicians on every single bolt they remove? Should we, yes or no? Yes. Absolutely we should. Okay, let's continue down through here. It talks about tires, right? For two-wheel drive models, if your vehicle was originally equipped with 4 tires that were the same size and you're only replacing 2 of the 4 tires, install the new tires on the what, everybody?
Rear
axle. All right? Going down here, Infiniti talks about aftermarket fluids. Make sure you order all your fluids from the dealership, right? Just like Danny said, tells us where the VIN decals are located at and all the hood and tire decals. Same thing with Nissan, same with Infiniti. So I'm going to turn it back over to Danny.
So Mercedes is going to, we're going to talk about a lot of the safety systems, but there's going to be a lot of accessories in the Mercedes-Benz. So the most important thing is our massage feature. If the customer doesn't have their massage feature working properly, they're going to come back after you pretty quickly. So get that massage working and get a massage yourself while you're in there. So again, this is a feature that you just look and see when you get into a car and you feel something moving. Whoa, that's not something right. You can verify, yep, the car has a massage option on there.
So Danny, may I tag in?
Absolutely.
All right, so let me share this with you, ladies and gentlemen. When you do a post-repair scan, you're doing it with 2 things in mind. You might want to write this down to ensure that all of the comfort and safety features are working properly. So say those 2 words, comfort and, say it again, comfort and
safety. This
would be an example of a comfort feature. When I do a post-repair scan, I'm doing an output or functionality test to ensure this works. Does that make sense, yes or no? All right, back to you, sir.
Well, this car has it built into their infotainment system, into their digital dash display. So that's another location to find the owner's manual.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Way cool.
Only using approved diagnostic equipment. The diagnostic connection is only intended for the connection of diagnostic devices at a qualified specialist workshop. Doesn't mean any other place or any other kind of equipment. It means a qualified workshop that specializes in Mercedes-Benz using a system for Mercedes. So if you connect equipment to a diagnostic connection in the vehicle, it may affect the operation of the vehicle systems. As a result of the operating safety of the vehicle could be affected. So who should be working on the vehicle? Again, a certified or a qualified technician using Mercedes-Benz service centers. That's who should be working on these vehicles. The data from the vehicle. We talk about data. What happens to this data? The electronic control units are installed in your vehicle. Some of these are necessary for the safe operation of your vehicle, while some assist you when driving. In addition, your vehicle provides comfort and entertainment functions, which are also made possible by the electronic control units. Again, this talks about all the data, the phone systems, the Embrace systems, you name it, the car's collecting that information. Even the cameras that it's actually sensing what's the images around the vehicle, believe it or not. These cars are actually live out there.
So check this out, right? And I learned this from Danny. That's why surround yourself with young, smart people in our industry, right? Which Josh would be one of those. Danny would be one of those. One of the things Danny taught me that I was not aware of was that some of these newer vehicles, like a Mercedes, has cameras built into the car. So the customer, like I have a home security system on my phone. Is everybody with me on that? I can see what's happening on my phone. How many people have a security system like that? Think about a customer has cameras in their car that are factory, and while you're working on their car, they can see what you're doing. Are you playing their radio? Are you going through their glove box? Are you going through their console? How are you treating your vehicle? Are you using foul language or telling inappropriate jokes or comments while you're sitting in the car? That all can be recorded in the future. Is everybody with me on that? Yes or no? And we need to start being conscious of those things. I learned that from Danny. Tag, you're in.
Thank you. So again, you got a customer that calls you from the accident scene. Hey, I got into an accident. I'm going to bring my vehicle in. At that point, you need to tell them, stop. I'm going to send a tow truck out and get that vehicle picked up. Driving that vehicle anymore could potentially cause more damage to the systems, to the suspension, to the control modules. Because again, in a vehicle that's not in its original state is now compensating for itself in many different ways. So again, when to have the vehicle towed in, and then what type of towing should be used. So is it going to go on a rollback, or is it going to go on a dolly system? Those are all things that we need to consider when we're towing vehicles. So seat belts and glass shards. How many people deal with broken glass situations? So seat belts may be damaged in an accident, although the damage may not be visible due to splinters of glass. Modified or damaged seat belts may tear or fail in an accident. So those little glass shards that we can't see with our naked eye, they drop into the tensioners, they drop into the webbing. We can't see that. So what they're saying is if you got glass in them, replace it. You can't predict what's going to happen. If they got micro tears or micro cracks in those seat belts, replace it. Not something I want to be liable for improper, not cleaning out the vehicle properly. So again, improper repairs may cause the SRS not to operate. This is clearly stated in the owner's manual if you do an improper repair, not following the recommended procedures from the factory. I didn't design this car, Mercedes did. So again, more required inspections of ADAS systems after a collision. Depending on the vehicle equipment, the radar sensor are integrated behind the bumpers or behind the Mercedes star. Keep these parts free of dirt, ice, and slush. The sensors must not be covered, for example, by cycle racks, overhanging loads, stickers, foils, or decals to protect against the stone chipping. So how many people want that clear film wrapped around the whole front end of the car, including that $2,500 grill? Can't do it. Sorry. It's going to have to get chipped up.
And what I love here, Danny, is where it says, in the event of damage to the bumpers or radar grille, or following a collision impacting the bumpers or radar grille, have the function of the radar sensors checked. How do we check the functions? Scan tool. Do you see, there's multiple documents just in the owner's manual to support the procedure required of a pre-scan. Everybody with me on this? Give me an amen. Absolutely.
I want to ask you a while ago.
Yes, sir.
Big thing on the Nissan Accord. It said factory scan tool can damage the system if it's broken. Does that also mean like the Aztec?
No, Aztec is approved by Nissan Infiniti, right? So because Nissan Infiniti has done testing and they've approved the Aztec, so therefore it can be plugged in the DLC port. Yeah, so I would just use it, when it's been verified by like OEM like that.
So again, Mercedes says always replace the child restraint systems immediately after it being damaged or involved in an accident. Not 3 weeks later, driving around when you get to it, immediately. So that's something you want to inform the customer what they need to be doing if they want to have that child ride in the car with them again. So again, reattaching the radio-controlled equipment. So when you, in this windshield, Mercedes does allow you to put some fast-track passes in the windshield. They have designated spots where the windshield may not have a glazing or a coating that allows the frequency to pass through properly. So if you put that fast track in the wrong location, they're going to get a nice hefty bill from the toll lane because it didn't pick up this sensor and charge them correctly. So again, parking vehicles for extended periods of time. Sometimes we have a car sitting in our shop waiting for parts for 2, 3, 4 weeks. We can't avoid that. So when you park the vehicle, you may have to disconnect the battery. You may have to do some additional stuff. And again, the owner's manual will tell you what you have to do in that case. Again, road testing the conditions and verifying the vehicle function. They tell you specifically the types of conditions, where to be, what type of driving that needs to be done to get the car to relearn itself on the road. The speed adopted by the active speed limit assist may be too high or incorrect in some individual cases, such as wet or fog. So you may not want to do that in certain weather conditions as well. Door repairs. How many people are repairing a door on a vehicle and then they come across a safety vest in their in the door panel? No, it's not an inflatable life vest or anything.
Wait, Danny. So, Danny, there's a lot of stuff you share with me that's really cool, but I'm not sure if I'm catching you. A safety vest, Danny?
A safety vest. This car has a built-in
like
safety vest.
Something that road workers wear on the side of the road.
An orange safety vest.
So when I go to R&I, the door trim panel, remove a door handle for paint, I have to deal with a safety vest.
You have to deal with a safety vest. There's a safety vest located in the door, and that could be for an emergency situation. The car's pulled over on the side in a dark situation. The customer has a safety vest they can put on before they exit the car so they can be clearly seen at night. Can you imagine not putting that safety vest back in their car, they get out of their car, and they get hit by another person? That'd be a terrible situation.
I can see it now. I put on my estimate, remove safety vest to remove door handle. The person on the other side that's re-inspecting the estimate is going to have Tourette's after they read that, right?
And it doesn't go back in the trunk with the personal belongings. That's something you want to tell your detail staff, your technicians, hey, if it's in the door, it has a compartment for it, put it back, because that's a safety feature of the vehicle.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Pull the strap. So again, things to remind the vehicle owner. We talked about normalizations. If the vehicle is picked up and there's symptoms of the vehicle not driving right, explain that the car has to go through cycles. It has to relearn itself. A lot of these cars, the shifting pattern of these cars, they get thrown off after being disconnected. So the car needs some time to readapt to its environment and to the road conditions. We got to road test it. We got to explain it to the customer as well that they may have to do additional road driving of the vehicle to get the car renormalized to the vehicle and their driving habits, because these cars are also being initialized to the vehicle owner's driving habits, believe it or not. So if you're a fast driver, it's going to adapt to that. So again, using original parts from Mercedes-Benz. That's what they want. That's the only part that they want on their vehicles, not anything else. Checking the sun roller blinds after a collision. These cars have built-in sun roller blinds that we don't realize, and these are the things that you roll up in the back seat or in the back from the energy, the collision, the inertia. These things may pop loose, the plastic brackets may break, so we got to check the operation of these convenience features to make sure that they operate. It could be a minor impact in the front that causes a failure in the back. So again, we have now we're going to move on to Toyota. There's some pretty cool stuff in the Toyota manual, and the biggest thing is, again, with parts, they want original parts used from Toyota. When to replace the seatbelt systems. And again, now they talk about seat assemblies. Toyota says replace the seat assembly, including the belts, if your vehicle has been involved in a serious accident, even if there's no obvious damage. So replace the seat assembly. You can't measure a seat frame. You can't measure the things. And it's up to us as a repair to determine what is a serious collision to warrant that. So again, more modifications to body panels. Repairs or modifications or removal or replacement of the steering wheel, instrument panel, dashboard, seats or upholstery, front, side, rear, pillars, roof, side rails. Every part of the car, essentially, do not modify. Modifications to the front door panel, such as making a hole in it. If you got to add a speaker, if you got to do all these trims, if it's not a factory-approved procedure, don't do it. Repairs or modifications to the front fender, bumper, or side of the occupant compartment. Do not change it. It doesn't mean leave a dent, fill it, and make it look nice again. It means restore it back to its original state. So when to inspect your Toyota? They tell you after a collision when to inspect it and what systems to check and how to check them. Again, you want to avoid the malfunctions of a forward radar. Things like dirt, slush, decals can make a sensor malfunction over the front end of the vehicle. Precautions over a blind spot monitor sensor. Again, you want to avoid impacting that area and then also checking it. If you look at the Toyota Tech Info, they also have further procedures how to measure the BSM mounting position, which may require string, tram gauges. And again, it's a pretty tedious process that needs to be restored back to exact specification, not just eyeball it and compare it to the other side. It needs to be an exact specification based on the manual, what it states, because that sensor is a millimeter wave radar sensor. So tire replacements, Toyota talks about what kind of tires to do, and then do not mix the types of tires on the vehicles. And then again, when to initialize the tire pressure warning system sensors on the vehicle. So wheel repairs, they specifically call out in the owner's manual, can you do a wheel repair on the vehicle? Can you replace a used wheel or a bent wheel? You know, can they be straightened? So again, even the owner's manual are telling the customers, do not repair, straighten these kind of damaged wheels. Use original parts. So this was a big shocker that we talked about the vehicle data, but Toyota can collect data from the car remotely if it's connected to their systems. And by that, they can collect not only just the engine speed situations, but they can also check the operation status or images from the camera, only available when certain safety systems are activated, which varies depending on the vehicle specifications. So again, they talk about that they can remotely, that Toyota can remotely log into your car and take images from the cameras. That's kind of scary stuff right there. There was recently a video of a Tesla that caught the person keying their car. That's what they can do by remote logging into your vehicle and checking out the images. And again, Toyota has access to that. So make sure that you're aware of that and you can educate your customer about that. And then again, the information can be only erased by a Toyota dealer. So now we're going to talk about the DEG, how this can help you. You've heard the name come up a lot. You've said the name a lot here. And what exactly is the DEG all about?
All right, I'll take it from there, Danny. Let's tag back in, sir. So let's talk about the DEG web. So first of all, we want to get paid from an insurer. The way we approach is the 4 negotiation questions. Question number 1, is it required? What we've learned today is the owner's manual could be a useful tool to help us to prove that something's required. Would you all agree with that? Give me an amen. The next step is we have to determine if something's included. And what we recommend is utilizing the DEG website in order to prove and gather information from the 3 information providers, CCC, Mitchell Autotex, that it's not included operation. So first of all, let's talk a little about the DEG website. One of the things I will tell you, and what got me on this whole mission about reviewing owner's manuals was because I read an article that Danny shared. Danny wrote an article about utilizing owner's manuals, and Danny sent the link to me of all these different owner manuals. So first of all, did you get value out of today's session so far? Give me an amen. Let's give Danny a big round of applause, right? Right? So one of the things that Danny has done is Danny has compiled a link to all these owner's manuals where, in case you can't find it in the owner's glove box, you can just go to links, and all those are right here under Estimate Toolbox. So everybody say that out loud, please, what that's called?
Estimate Toolbox.
Say it again, please.
Estimate
So you go to Estimate Toolbox, and when you do that, you will drop down, and you'll see where it says OEM websites and position statements. Once you do that, you will see that Danny has down here a link to OEM1stop.com, and you'll see right here it says Instruction and Maintenance Manuals. It's a quick link that Danny has for you to access any vehicle manufacturer's owner's manuals. So you can always download that and look that over. What we recommend is, if you know a customer's scheduled in for an appointment, download the owner's manual, review it in advance, highlight certain sections so you have it prepared to review with the owner's manual when they arrive for the drop-off. Now, one of the things we want to talk about today, as we wrap this up, is the degweb.org website. The DEG website is a website that is free to the entire industry. Any stakeholder, whether you're an insurer, a shop, a collision repairer, a technician, an estimator, an OEM manufacturer, it's free to anyone and everyone in the industry, right? And our observations have been that the DEG website can be utilized for 4 purposes, right? And Danny, let's see if I get this right. The first it can be used for is if you're ever writing an estimate and you can't find a part in the database. How many of you have ever been writing an estimate and you couldn't find the part and you had to call the dealer? Raise your hands. When the dealership sends you over and says, here's the picture of the parts, you're like, that's the part I need. Go to the DEG website, submit an inquiry that says this part is missing and this is with a part number and this is what it cost. When you send that inquiry in, it goes to Danny. When it goes to Danny, Danny then submits that to CCC, Mitchell, or Autotext, depending on their appropriate estimating system. And then what he does is he stays on them until they add it back permanently to the database. And not only do they notify Danny, they also notify you. The second thing that we see that the DEG website can be used for is missing labor times. It's not uncommon to be writing an estimate and there won't be a labor time for a specific operation. Remember, if it's included, it will say INCL period. If it's just blank, it doesn't mean that it's included. It means the database didn't know a time. So if you're writing an estimate and you can't find a labor time, submit it to the DG website, goes to Danny. Danny reaches out to CCC Mitchell Autotext, and he works with them to come up with a labor time, and it gets permanently added to the database. The third thing that you can use this website for is if you disagree with a labor time. How many of you have ever had a technician that said they didn't agree with the labor time, body, man, or painter? Raise your hands, give me an amen. Then what happens is you can submit an inquiry to DG. Now, the more information you can give to Danny, the better he can plead your case with the estimating systems. Does that make sense? Everybody give me an amen. So, for example, paint times are based off of square footage. So if you can measure the dimensions of the component and tell Danny what that is, the better he can plead your case. If it's a welded-on component, how many rivets, how many welds are there, what type of welds? The more information you give Danny, the better he can plead your case. And the fourth thing you can use the DG website for is to prove to an insurance company something's not included. So, for example, if you want to charge to do something and they try to tell you that they believe it's required but it's included, use the DG to figure out whether it's included or not. Submit a question to Danny. Danny forwards it to CCC Mitchell Autotext, and you get a direct email response back stating whether it is included or whether it's not. So let's give you some examples. This was a Toyota Prius. We were writing an estimate on this, and there was a decal that goes on the door frame, like the black decals, and this decal was on the database. We contacted the dealer. Dealer sent over a picture of the part. I'm like, that's what I needed. We submitted it to Danny. Danny submitted it to CCC, or Motors in this case, and they came back and said, we're now going to add this part number with this price, and we're going to give you 2/10 labor to do it, and that labor is only to install it, and it does not include removing the old decal. That is permanently added to the database now. Is that a good thing? Give me an amen. All right, the second thing is, let's say there's a missing labor time. This was on a Toyota Camry. We were writing an estimate. We went to replace the spoiler on the deck lid. There was no paint time for it. It's not going to paint itself. Remember, paint times are based off of square footage. We measured the component, submitted to the DEG. Danny submitted it back to Motors, and they came back and said, we're now going to give you 1.2 hours to paint the spoiler, and that is now permanently in the database. That is a win for the industry. Let's say that you disagree with a labor time. This is one where there was a sectioning procedure on a dog leg, and it only gave us 3.5 hours, and it said it included removing the quarter glass and the bumper cover. Well, there's no way that's practical, right? Nope. So we submitted it to Danny. Danny from the DEG submitted to them. They came back. They changed the time from 3.5 hours to 4.5 hours, and they put a footnote and said this does not include removing the tail lamp, the bumper, quarter glass, rear seat, or rear liftgate. So now we have clarity on it, right? Here's another one right here. If you disagree with a labor time, This is one right here where an inquiry was submitted, and they wanted to know if removing all the old undercoating and seam sealer, etc., was included or not included to something. And they came back and said that those things were not included, right? And if you look right here, the labor time got changed from 17.6 hours to 22.6 hours. So this shop got paid an additional 18, 19, 20, 21, 5 more hours to do that job. Is that a win, everybody? Give me an amen. And that is all made possible because there are great associations like the Society of Collision Repair Specialists and AASP that support financially the DG website to make it as a free resource. And this is Danny's full-time job and his commitment. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a free resource available to us we should take advantage of. Would you agree? Give me an amen. Amen. All right, next thing, right? Let's look right here. Disagreed with the labor time, and they got the labor time changed on this one right here for Mercedes-Benz. Here's one where an insurance company said repair of adjacent panel damage was included, and they submitted an inquiry. Danny sent it to the CCC Mitchell Autotex. They came back and said the repair of adjacent panel damage is a not-included operation. So again, the website could be used for multiple things. Here's one where we had to seam seal a new hood, door, deck lid on a Toyota. Everybody's familiar with that, right? Well, is that included in the labor times? Well, with Mitchell it is, but with CCC it's not. We were able to prove that it was a not-included operation. So ladies and gentlemen, I got this video up here because I'm sure many of you have watched it sometime in your childhood or your life, or maybe as an adult in Wizard of Oz. And on the Wizard of Oz, what happens is Dorothy discovers there's a wizard behind the curtain. Is everybody with me on that? Give me an amen.
Amen.
And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you there are a lot of shops that use the DEG, and it helps them to make more money to be profitable in their business. And ladies and gentlemen, there is absolutely a man behind the curtain, and this is a man I have great love and respect for, and that is Danny from the DEG. And I think he deserves a big round of applause, everybody.
Thank you.
So ladies and gentlemen, as we kind of wrap this up, if you see value in the DEG website, please stop by the SCRS booth and tell them you appreciate their financial support of that. Because if it wasn't the support of SCRS or AASP, we would not have the DEG, and Danny would not be able to help us. Danny is a resource, and the DEG is free. Is everybody with me on that? Give me an amen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we try to wrap this up, we want to allow some time for questions. We've got about 10 minutes for questions. In addition, Danny and I both have our business cards up here. If you want a copy of the presentation, you can email my assistant, Tiffany, on the back of my on the back of my business card. If you email my assistant, Tiffany Driggers, she'll send you this entire PowerPoint for free. Would that be helpful to everybody? Give me an amen, right? But just thoughts. Did you get value out of this today, yes or no? Did it meet your expectations, fall short, exceed? Give us some insights. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great rest of your SEMA.
Thank you.
Please give it up, Danny, a big round of
Mike.
applause, everybody.